Okay, good evening and welcome to round 8 of the GPVWC Supercup series. You join us live as we just begin qualifying at the Korea International Circuit, obviously in Korea. Practice has just finished and the qualifying session is just about to begin, and we have quite a famous name topping the standings in practice. That is Martin Schumacher, who has joined the league in recent times. I've not seen him around personally anywhere else. I'm sure he's well known by many people. His surname certainly adds a bit of fame to the league, let's say. So if you see M Schumacher anywhere, it's not Michael, but it's Martin Schumacher. He's currently fastest, replicating Michael actually in most of the things he took part in. So Martin Schumacher driving for the Innovision Racing team. Apparently only on loan though, so he's not actually a full-time driver. And we will go and watch him now as they leave the pits. As they head down the long back straight, obviously Korea, a fairly new track to the calendar. And a very good track actually. I really enjoy driving this one, as I know many of the drivers do. Got some long straights, got some twisty corners and some technical sections as well. A real mixture. And a lot of traffic for Martin to do here, as we can see. Got 20 minutes in this qualifying session to decide who will be the fastest man around this circuit. As I said, in practice it was Martin Schumacher. Petkasar was just behind him. Terence Gresh was P3 from Walter Force, with Philip Cullen just behind in 4th place. Boyd Bryson well inside the top 10 in 5th position. Adam Rouse was in 6th position. Bart DeVos 7th. Pavel Lotnowski 8th position. Georgios Stavrakos P9, and Gavin Thomas a surprise 10th position there. So hopefully Gav can replicate that in qualifying and keep it inside the top 10. Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us tonight as well. Obviously we know the Euro 2012 games are well underway now, so obviously any viewers we do get is much appreciated, because unfortunately this race lands right on top of a match, I believe. So thank you for tuning in if you have made the efforts. Hopefully we'll be rewarded with a brilliant race. We had a great race last time out at Canada, where Andrew Morgan won his first race in the Supercup series, and he was very competitive in that race. He had the pace all the way through. And he came out on top and won the race, so a great result there the last time out for Andrew Morgan. Be interesting to see if he can replicate it today. Just looking through the field actually, and one of the Torrent Motorsport cars is missing currently, so I'm not quite sure if they're fielding one car today or two cars. I'm sure we'll find out as Schumacher. It's great to be able to say that, it really is, in sim racing, to be able to actually use the name Schumacher. I mean, I know there's not a lot of people like him in the world, but I'm sure the actual name itself helps the league in some respects, because saying Schumacher on the broadcast is something I've always wanted to do. So thank you for Martin for joining this league anyway. Apparently there's been a huge pile-up in the final chicane. We've missed that unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but obviously there was a lot of traffic we saw. I wasn't quite sure what happened in the final chicane there, but we'll keep focusing on Martin as the first times are about to come in. And just before they do, I'll quickly plug the sponsors who kindly sponsor us here at GPVWC and this Supercup series. So this broadcast, as I'm sure you're all aware now, is brought to you by simrace.tv, and we make sim racing. And the title sponsor for the Supercup and Super League series here at GPVWC is Siminc, and they are making simulation reality, but all linked up. Of course the Le Mans practice on it is on as well tonight, so we've got some rough competition out there. We've got Le Mans and the Euro 2012 games to contend with tonight. But if you have nothing else to do and you fancy tuning in, then thank you for doing so. Also as well, if you'd like to get in touch with us, or me specifically, because I'm the only one here tonight at the moment, if you'd like to get in touch and leave a message, or even if you want to talk about Le Mans, anything like that, let's get it out on the broadcast, get your name read out. A shameless plug, I don't care. If it's a good text, if it's good fun, doesn't really matter. We'll read it out for you and get your name on the broadcast. you have any thoughts on Martin Schumacher, or Schumacher being in the league, feel free to get in touch. For the first times I've put in anyone, Alex Cooper's currently fastest on a 45.4. From Adam Rouse in P2. Obviously the real lap times will be well down from that, I believe. Have a look at some of the cars on circuit. Adam Rouse currently P2, coming through the final sector. Just waiting for this session to really warm up. We've still got 14 minutes to go. Plenty of time for the drivers to set a lap. And you just saw there actually a flash of the very interesting pit lane entry. It's caused a lot of debate during the week here at GPVWC because as you see in real life it's very difficult, and it's exactly the same in sim racing. You basically a really tight entry to the pit lane from a very fast corner, and if someone's following very closely it can cause an incident. So I believe the Supercup series as well have some modifications as to when you go into pit, the rear wing will actually flap up and say going to pit or something along them lines. I think it's basically using the DRS system but to show that you go into pit. So we'll try and look out for that during the race. Petr Kasar has now gone fastest on a 44.5. We do have a few new faces now. Actually, I've just been reading on the list there. Apologies for the silence there for a few minutes. Just revising on the few names that have turned up. Obviously, Martin Schumacher not the only driver to have turned up tonight. We have Jeff Mead, who is racing for No Fear Racing. I've been speaking to him through the day. He's filling in for David Phillip, who has work commitments, unfortunately. And another driver I just noticed is Bart DeVos, returning to the Supercup series. Obviously, a Super League star now after he raced here last season and won the championship. So he's returning today with Halicon Racing, and he's currently second in this qualifying session. We'll quickly switch to if I can get this darn thing to work. Oh, we're looking at Alex Cooper now because he's gone to P2, and here is Bart DeVos. We're now riding on board with Bart DeVos, returning to the Supercup series for the first time this year, I believe. And he's currently in third place, showing that he's still got the speed. And as we watch him, he actually spinners there, so or half spinners, let's say. Quite a strange circuit, this career circuit, as I mentioned before. It's got pretty much every single type of circuit in one, so a difficult track to set the car up for, that's for sure. And I'm really struggling for the Super T tomorrow. I don't mind admitting that to anyone. Plenty of taking opportunities though, two or three really good opportunities. Obviously you've got the The main straight, the second straight and the third straight, all turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. They're all very good overtaking places. The final sector is pretty much a following sector because, as you can see now as we're watching Bart de Vos come through this sector, it's pretty fast flowing, slow speed, high speed, medium speed corners. So there's a mix of corners, real mix of corners for this final sector, and there's not really any overtaking places. Probably the most crucial corner on the circuit. The most crucial corner on this circuit is probably turn 1 in some respects, because if you get turn 1 correct, you go a long back straight to get down, and after that, and if you get over the exit from turn 1, you're going to carry really good speed all the way down the back straight. Just struggling to get things working here for some reason. I can't select the cars I want at the moment, so we'll try and sort that out. Not quite sure why this is. We're just under 10 minutes to go. I'm still struggling to select the cars that I want to select, so just a few problems here. Seems to be working okay though. We have a few minutes to go now, we've got 9 minutes left. I'll quickly run down the top 10. As Schumacher spins, and he's actually upside down, so I don't think I've ever seen Michael Schumacher do that, but Martin's certainly achieved it in this session so far. Obviously pushing quite hard. So quickly, the top 10 as we have just over 8 minutes to go. Peter Qatar currently leads the way on a 44.5, Alex Cooper P2, 44.6, then it's Martin Schumacher moved up to P3 on his previous run on a 45.1. Adam Rouse actually changed that now because Mindergaus Columbus, and he's a new face in the paddock, I believe. Because he's come from Formula Sim racing from many years ago, I believe. I actually raced with him a couple of years ago. I'm sure it was Mindergaus who I raced with. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correctly, so I do apologise for that, because I think everyone's name in this league I failed to pronounce correctly, so apologies if that is the case. Mindergaus, yeah, it sounds right. Mindergaus Columbus, I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. I've heard that name before. And he's currently popped into P3 on a 44.9, so the new pace is really showing well here so far. And Adam Rouse is still P5, from Bart de Vos is P6 on his return, Terence Gresh P7, Boyd Bryson 8, Philip Cullen 9th, Georgios Stavrakos rounding out the top 10 currently. But a big field spread here at the moment, and 10th place Stavrakos is 2 seconds slower than Peter Qatar. So I think it just shows how difficult this circuit is. As you're currently watching Alex Cooper, who's still P2. Just looking down the field at any surprises, Pestov's is P11, Rick Scott's 12th, Jason Muscat probably the surprise so far in P13, Pavel Lutnowski also surprisingly down there in 14th. Gavin Thomas is not too far off the top 10 actually, so he did a good job in practice, and he's still up there now in P15. Wupke Hoekstra P16, Matt Clip 17th, Martin Bulgin 18th, Morten Versen P19, Timo Toika 20th, Simon Crane 21st, Jeff Mead, the guy today, not new to the league obviously, 22nd. I don't believe he's done any practice laps before this session as well. Jeff, he was standing at the last moment, so if he can just finish the race that would be an achievement. William Tringa P23, Malaki 24, Chris Williamson P25, Chris Allen P26, and Tommy Koivunen, who's yet to set a lap time, is currently P27. Even though the Euros are off, we've still got a decent turnout. We have 27 drivers, which is nice to see. Halfway stage of the season pretty much. And we're approaching that anyway, and there's still good turnouts for the races, so good to see. Trying to find some drivers that are on actual lap times. As once again my keyboard fails to do what I want it to do. I'm not quite sure why this is happening. And we do have one person who wants to get his voice heard on the broadcast, and it's Ian Story. He's messaged in and said, I will take this advantage for a shout out, mates. Ian Story is looking for a driving Formula Challenge. If any team bosses are listening, obviously the brother to Keith Story, who is my teammate in the Super League series. So obviously you know there's a lot of talent there, so Ian Story looking for a drive. If anyone's interested, get in touch. And that just proves what I said, it doesn't matter what it is. If you want to get shouted out, get in touch with us. It doesn't matter what it is, we'll read it out. We welcome any thoughts on the broadcast. No real changes at the moment in the top 10. It's still Kassar fastest. Still think we get to see the best of Martin Schumacher in P4. We've had a few accidents, and someone's compared it to the accident we saw a minute ago. Apparently the Australia 2011 free practice. I don't seem to remember that one. I remember it's 2001 free practice crash. As we ride on board with Schumacher, and yes, as I thought, that was a typing mistake there. It wasn't the 2011, it was 2001. When he flipped it at turn 6 or turn 7, I believe, in the right hander he flipped it over there. Obviously, maybe it is Michael Schumacher in disguise, we don't know. Now we've got the championship standings up as well, so when this session is finished, as Martin Schumacher is up in sector 2, actually he's a tenth and a half faster than current poleman Petr Kassar. Can he keep? He's got a lot of traffic in front though. This is going to cost him. One of them was at the way, I'm not quite sure what that was at the time. He's got no traffic now, he's got a clear track in front. That was Hoxtra who just moved out of the way, so thank you to Hoxtra there. I'm sure Martin will be saying that as well. As Schumacher comes across the line, and Martin Schumacher goes fastest on a 44.1. So nearly 4 tenths faster than Petr Kassar. Schumacher leads the way in qualifying. How awesome is that to say? Only a stand-in for this race on loan apparently, but I'm sure he will get a seat after this for sure. I mean, I can't imagine him not wanting to race if he's going to be fastest in this session. So now the question is, can Kassar, who's been pretty much the dominant man this year, as we'll tell you, as I was going to say, the championship standings, we'll do that in the warm-up session as this qualifying session draws to an end. We've got 2 minutes to go. We're watching Schumacher currently, as once again my keyboard fails to work. Kassar is currently up on Schumacher's time. As we try and switch to him, if my keyboard works, and he is currently up on Schumacher's time as he comes just very, very close though. He's only 6 thousandths up on in there as he runs wide as well onto the grass. That's going to cost him time. We did see Schumacher have some traffic in this final sector. Kassar's got a little bit of distraction now. He has got some traffic as well. Verneson moves out the way though and leaves him plenty of room, but will that have distracted Petr Kassar as he comes through this final turn? Flat out for 5th gear, 160 mile an hour as he crosses the line. Can he take pole position back? No, it's a long way off. He did lose time in that final sector. Looking who else is improving now. Schumacher's backed off, looking like that's his session done because he looks like he's coming to the pits. Alex Cooper's very close in the middle sector. We'll watch him now as he comes through the final sector. He's only 2 tenths off. And I did notice that as well myself. Dave Carr-Smith just pointed out that the downforce package is maybe applying here because I did notice that Petr Kassar was well up in sector 1 on Schumacher, but by the final sector he lost the time as Alex Cooper improves to P2 and knocks Petr Kassar down to P3. You just saw that it comes across the line. Looking to see if there's anyone else on track improving. Petr Kassar's gone off the track and that looks like his qualifying session is over because there's only 30 seconds left, so yeah, Petr Kassar won't improve in his P3 position by the looks of it. Cooper's on another hot lap. as you're watching him. I'll keep an eye out behind that. A lot of people in the pits now. Bart DeVos is on the other side of the track for some reason, not quite sure what that is. Terence Gresh also in the pits. Keep an eye on Alex Cooper though, he's the only man who can deny Martin Schumacher this pole position now. He needs to find 3.5 tenths though, so a tough job on. Cullen improves in time, but not a position, stays P9. We're currently watching Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper comes through the first sector now. Can he do it? He's a 1/10.5 up on his own time and only 1/2 tenth off Schumacher through that first sector. Now the technical bit. Now this is the bit where Schumacher made up the lap time coming through these middle sector corners in the final sector. This is where he made the difference, and obviously the higher downforce package made the difference for him. He springs it right now and then into the left-hander. He's 2.5 tenths. He's slightly up on Schumacher's time. He's found 2.5 tenths. If he can find another 1/2 tenth in his final sector, he will take this pole position. So Cooper is the only man who can do this now as he heads into the left-hander. He uses all the curb on the exit there. He needs to keep it neat and tidy now, flat out for this next bit. He needs to be really on the throttle nice and hard now as we go on board with him. As he comes across the start finish line, can he take his pole position? He does, he nicks it in the final few seconds of qualifying. Alex Cooper takes pole position from Schumacher. So Schumacher denied the P1 position and Alex is ecstatic about that. Takes it by 1/2 tenth. You can see him doing a burnout in turn 1 there. He is over the moon with that lap, and why shouldn't he be? That was a great effort there from Alex Cooper. And so far I haven't seen Andrew Morgan, our last week's race winner. So maybe Andrew's not able to make it tonight, which is a real shame. But Alex Cooper takes the pole position. There's no one else out there now as the session has now ended, so we'll quickly run down the timings. We have Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper takes P1 with a fabulous lap at the end of the session at 44.0. Martin Schumacher P2 on a 44.1. Slightly big gap to Cassar, who's 4 tenths off the pole position, but on a different downforce package by the looks of it. Here's the other Torrent Motorsports car, actually, which you didn't notice. It was Mindergaus Columbus, who's now P4. Rouse P5, Bart DeVos P6, Terence Gresh from Multiforce. Once again out qualifying Jason Muscat. So Terence Gresh really started to get on some roll of form here. He's P7 up well inside the top 10. Boyd Bryce, an excellent effort there, Boyd, in P8. Only 1.4 off the pole position. So a great lap from Boyd Bryce now. We used to see him somewhere near the top 10, if on the fringes, but he's well inside today in P8. Philip Cullen P9, as ever inside the top 10. Jason Muscat, as I said, out qualified by his teammate, but only by 2 tenths, so it's pretty close between the two Multiforce guys. Andrei Pestovs is P11. Sergio Tavakos P12. Pavel Noski slightly disappointing in P13, but I believe this is his first race back for a while. Rick Scott P14, Whoopke Hoekstra P15, Gavin Thomas well up in 16th place there, so good job from Gavin. Good to see him back as well, because I know he's been on about retiring lately, but good to see he's not given up. Matt Clip P17, Martin Bulgin P18, Timo Turika 19th, Morten Venison 20th, Simon Crane 21st, Jeff Mead doing a good job to be only 4.6 seconds off the pace in only his first 2 laps of the mod at this circuit, so little shout out there for Jeff, well done. Out qualifying William Tringas with P23, Tommy Covenant P24, Chris Williamson 25, Mal McKee 26, Chris Allen P27. 26 seconds off the pace in 27th there, but only doing 1 time lap, so I presume maybe he crashed on that lap and couldn't get another run in. Quite a big gap throughout the field actually. Very big gap actually throughout the field. There's no real close battle at all. There's a couple of cars within a couple of tenths, and then there's a big gap back. So we might see quite a split out field today. Obviously the downforce package is causing a bit of a problem there. Also just said that Andrew Morgan is taking a break from sim racing, which is if he is watching this, it's a real shame to hear that, Andrew. Anyway, especially after your performance last time out. We hope to see you back soon. Whoopke Hoekstra just announced that this is his personal best qualifying in 15th position, and indeed it's a very good effort. We're not used to seeing that high up, but he's P15, so a very good job from Whoopke. So as we advance to the warm-up session now, once again we'll just announce that if you would like to get in touch feel free to get in touch and we'll read your name out on the broadcast. Quickly run down the championship order. Kassar leads the way on 87 points. He's 32 points in front of Alex Cooper, who's just taken the pole position today and needs to go on to win the race in front of Kassar if he's got any chance of catching Kassar. Obviously we had the interview last race with Alex and he basically said he's taking it race by race. He doesn't expect to be able to mount a championship challenge, but he wants to win as many races as possible. So not over for Alex yet. We're only just halfway through the season pretty much and he's still in with a shout. Richard Helston, who looks like he's not going to be racing or continuing this season because this is the second race now where he's had a replacement driver. Columbus today obviously taking the second seat at Tom Motorsports supporting Kassar. Philip Cullen P4, consistency's brought him there. He's got some consistent podium results. Been a bit unlucky in the last few races. Andrew Morgan moved up to P5 after his fabulous win last time out. Obviously not racing today, so he's probably going to drop back down. Adam Rouse P6 again, consistency bringing him there. He's not really always up there in the major positions, but today he's taken P5 on the grid. So Adam looking more and more competitive as this season goes on. Our factor has just stopped working, so I'll just reboot that so we can get a picture going again. If you just give us a few minutes. Once again, some fabulous issues with this now dated game. But we'll be back in any second, so it shouldn't be an issue. And apparently it's not just us either. Apparently some guys have crashed out the game as well in the server, and apparently it's Rick Scott's fault. So thank you for that, Rick, for crashing our game there. At least we know it's not your fault. But we are back now, as you can see. And we will try and find out who's on track. Alex Cooper's not on track, Martin Schumacher's not on track, Kassar's just practicing starts and pit lane as usual. Columbus is on track in P4, or 4th in qualifying. No one set a time yet in this warm-up session. Quickly finished going down the championship order. We got to Adam Rouse, who was P6, David Fiddick not racing today, P7, Terence Gresh P8. Again in front of his teammate, the lead multi-force driver, as Columbus decides to pit and completely ruin what we were going to follow. We'll follow Adam Rouse instead, who's had a great qualifying session in P5. I can't speak highly enough of Adam Rouse there, taking P5. That's a great effort. I believe that's his best this year, and maybe one of his best overall. Boyd Bryson is 9th in the championship on 14 points, looking today to extend his tally of points. Marit Skronowski P10, who's not racing today either. There are quite a few drivers missing, but I believe it is the Poland match tonight. I'm not quite sure on that one, as I don't really follow football, but if that's the case, that's probably why Marek is not turned up, because Marek is Polish. So as we watch Adam Rouse, I'm going to quickly try and find the driver who's starting a lap, as Muscat is going around to the final sector now. I just wanted to go on board for a few minutes and take a guide around this circuit. There are no corner names as such. They're all numbers. Being a new track, you tend to get numbers instead of names as we head down the start and finish straight now past the pit lane on the right hand side into the controversial turn 1. You can see the difficult pit lane exit there. Jason hooks that up nicely there on the throttle, nice and early now. That was turn 2 there, the exit corner. It's not really a corner, flat out. Then into this long back straight. You can see you still can't see the braking zone because it's a long way. We're only just halfway down this straight. Then we go over a slight crest now underneath the bridge, and then you can see the braking zone just in front of us now, and he hits the brakes extremely hard, gets it stopped nicely, hits the apex beautifully there. So Jason Muscat driving well on the power, nice and nearly using all the curb on the exit. Now that's the GT pit lane on the right, I believe. Obviously we won't be using that today. As Jason heads down in the other long straight into turn 4, and you can believe we're already 40 seconds into the lap, only at turn 4. It is a very long lap here. Now the tricky right and left chicane, very low grip corners these, slightly off camber as well, so the car tends to drift wide as Jason struggles with understeer through there. Now we're coming into the fast turn 7, turn 8 complex. This is a critical part of the track, extremely fast combination of corners, Driving skills and a fitting setup are an absolute must through these corners into the fast left-hander of turn 9, now the slow right-hander of turn 10. Again, hooking the apex beautifully there, Jason. So he's driving well. There's nothing wrong with his driving ability on track by the looks of it. Now it's better to take a wide line as Jason does, then bring it back at the last minute into this one, keeping it in a lowish gear. Keep it nice and tight for this one because you've got a fast left-hander coming up where you've got to flick it in now as Jason does. Not run too wide onto the grass there. Jason catches it slightly but not too much. Now use all the curb on the inside there. Jason struggling with understeer still on this lap. He's still hooking the apexes quite nicely. Don't run too wide through that one. Now be careful of the curb on the inside there. Jason just taps it but gets away with that. Now it's flat out through this right-hander now and we head back onto the main start finish straight, and that is a lap of the Korea International Circuit. And as we said, this turn 1 is a critical point as well, because if you run wide and ruin the exit, you're going to suffer all the way down this straight, as we saw Jason twice in a row now getting a great exit from there. So he's gaining time all the way down this next straight now. And that was an on-road lap at Korea. Hopefully you picked up some tips there as Kasai goes fastest in P1. Yeah, sorry, in the warm-up. Even though it looked like a very committed lap, we saw most of it on board, pretty much all of it on board. It was only a 47.2, so it just shows, even though the lap looked good, and we didn't see any real driving mistakes from Jason, he hit all the apexes nicely, it wasn't very quick at all. Two Multiforces, second and third in this session at the moment. Jason in front of Terence. Obviously Terence out-qualified his teammate, but they were very close in qualifying, to be fair, and in this warm-up session once again they're very close. Once again, warm-up proving to be the session where it doesn't really matter what lap times are set. Obviously Kasar normally stays in the pits, to be fair, but as Alex Cooper pops in a 46.0 to take him fastest, but Kasar normally sits in the pit lane and we don't really hear anything of him in these warm-up sessions, but for some reason today he's out on track, so maybe he's struggling slightly with the car or just making some last-minute changes. And I've also Dave Carl Smith messaged me earlier. It wasn't the DRS system, that obviously these Supercup cars don't have DRS, that's on the Super League only. The way to know if someone's pitting in front of you is their pit light will come on, their actual speed limiter will flash when they are selected to come into the pit lane. It's basically to stop incidents in the final corner. I did say yesterday, while discussing on the subject, I didn't think you had to do anything because I've raced in many leagues and no one's really had any issues, but it's an extremely good idea in both ways to reduce the chances of something happening, because you never know. I mean, the pit lane entry is very difficult along with the pit lane exit, and to minimise the risk of an accident happening is always a good thing for the admin to do, and they've really got that sorted in the last 2 days. They've got it sorted for both leagues, the Super League and the Supercup Series, so a great job there. I think it was Chris Williamson who was mainly involved in that. I'm not quite sure of the other names were involved in that organisation. Chris Williamson's the man who's been behind it, I believe, so a big thank you and pat on the back to Chris there. Hopefully the drivers will use that assistance that they've been given to understand when people are pitting, and as you can see Alex coming around this final corner now, he would then know if someone's in front of him as he comes around this final corner to take it slightly easy, because the pit lane is right on the left there. You see it cuts in, so someone's going to have to slow down a hell of a lot through that corner to get into pit lane. Hopefully Alex and the rest of the drivers are aware of that situation. And you can see the pit lane exit there as one of the Halicon cars comes out the pits. Was that Halicon? Yeah, it was a Halicon car. One of the Halicon cars comes out the pits there. You can see how Cullen had to get out of the way there of Cooper, but he had no alternative but to run wide outside the track limits. Now, during the race I don't think they'll be doing that, because obviously you'll be fighting for position. Obviously it's a practice session, but during the race you will be trying as hard as you can to keep your position coming out of that pit lane. It's going to be very difficult to do so. Now we've only got 45 seconds to go until the race. This has flown by. Qualifying session and warm-up session flown by. Boyd Bryson looking strong. He's currently P3 in this session. So Boyd on a roll here. He's well up in this session as well as he runs very wide as we join him on board. So commentators kiss of death there. The driver's just being warned to use the option available to them to warn the driver behind that they will be pitting, and they're being told to use it and activate it when they intend to pit. Martin Schumacher pops into P4, but that's beaten instantly by P3, beaten instantly by Bart de Vos, who goes P3 in this warm-up session. It's a lot closer in the warm-up session than it was in qualifying, so let's hope that's a sign of things to come in the race, because it looked like the top two were going to disappear, the top three were going to disappear. But as we usually see, Kassar in qualifying isn't always the fastest. I mean, I can't remember the last time he didn't have a different strategy in the race to everyone else, let's say, but the last few qualifying sessions he's not always been the fastest. Taken pole at Monaco and so on, but the strategy is usually excellent from the Torrent Motorsports team. I'm sure Kassar, he'll probably be on the hard tyres and as much fuel as you can get in the tank and so on, so we'll probably be surprised by the result at the end of the race, because Kassar will come through on a different strategy. As Dave Carl-Smith just mentions as well to me, that's probably the case, so obviously Dave on the ball as well there. As we're just winding down this warm-up session now, the actual flag has gone out, but there's a few drivers on finishing laps. Martin Schumacher is one of them. Schumacher now coming through sector 2. Fabulous cameras as well around this track, you find, especially the sweeping run in that long. Oh, and Schumacher gets it well out of shape there as the Helicon flies past. Schumacher looking quick but unstable. He's had an accident in the qualifying session. I've seen him upside down in the practice session, so hopefully Schumacher can get it together for the race and keep it nice and consistent, because he's certainly looking quick and would have been on pole position if it wasn't for that superb lap from Alex Cooper. But we've been down the championship positions, so we know today that Alex Cooper's got to make some inroads into Kassar if he wants any chance of winning this championship. No one else out there now really who could, as Cullen's pretty much half points behind Kassar now. The points he scored, he's halfway behind Peter Kassar in the championship. The warm-up session is over. It finished with Alex Cooper on top. Peter Kassar was second, Bart de Vos third, Schumacher fourth, Bryson fifth, Rouse sixth, Pestov seventh, Muscat eighth, Gresh ninth, Verneson 10th. But as we say, very little meaning in the lap times. A lot more people than usual coming out to set lap times actually in the warm-up session. We don't often see that. The race today is 33 laps long, as you can see at the top of your screens. 33 laps for the drivers compete as they make their way to the grid. We will be following Alex Cooper around for this formation lap as we run down the grid any second. The admin's not hanging around here, that's for sure. We're certainly on target today if we ever are, because normally we get a 5-minute gap in the warm-up session and the race, but not today. Today we are bang on the ball. The admin's doing a great job. As the formation lap gets underway, Alex Cooper leads from Schumacher second, Peter Kassar third, Columbus fourth, Rouse P5, De Vos sixth, Gresh P7, Bryson 8th, Philip Cullen 9th. Jason Muscat rounding out the top 10 for the Motorforce. And then we have Andres Pestovs P11, Georgios Stavrakos P12, Pavel Lotnowski P13, Rick Scott P14, Wopke Hoekstra P15, Gavin Thomas P16, Matt Klipp P17, Martin Bulgin P18, Timo Taker P19, Morten Verneson P20th, Simon Crane 21st, Jeff Mead 22nd, William Tringas P23, Tommy Koivunen P24, Chris Williamson P25, Mal McKee 26th, and Chris Allen rounds out the top 27. So a full grid once again as the guys make their way round. Desperately trying to get into these tyres, but this is a track that really does abuse the tyres as well. It's with the length of the circuit, the the fast sweeping corners you get really do heat up the tyres quite quickly. So in half a lap, you'd expect the tyres to be up somewhere near operating temperature. And if Kassar and the Torrent Motorsports guys have gone with the harder tyre, prime tyre that is, I would expect them to be in very good shape for the race, because they've got 3rd and 4th on the grid, and if they're on the harder tyre, which they usually are, they're looking very good indeed. As Schumacher gets a bit over enthusiastic there on the formation lap, trying to warm up his tyres. Look at the cameras sorted for the race. Apologies for that, got him sorted out. For some reason they decided to change. Alex Cooper warming up his tyres, we ride on board with him. Looking back, you can see Schumacher in the distance, Barclumbis just down the outside. Apparently as well, Dave Carl-Smith predicts a TMO, which is Torrent Motorsports 1-2 into turn 1 because of their top speed, and it was significantly faster. Half a second in the first sector, the Torrent Motorsports were faster than everyone else, which is a good, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour, possibly 30, 40 kilometres per hour if you work in that unit. As Alex Cooper rounds the final few corners now, who line up the grid. We're just keeping an eye on the back, making sure nothing's going on. It all seems pretty fair and above board down the field. Everyone's taking it nice and easy. A lot of brake smoke, but nothing really more than that. Everyone seems to have got through without damage, which is a rarity on these formation laps. Don't really have a good camera for the start at the moment. It'll only switch on in a few seconds. I'll try and find a better one for you, but it's probably not going to happen. Nope, we'll just leave it at that. As you can see, Alex Cooper lines up now. The last few cars are just coming into position. Chris Allen makes his way onto the grid now. So the 2012 GPVWC Korean Supercup Grand Prix is about to get underway, as we have 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, the 5 lights are on, and it's go. Watch the Torrent Motorsport guys online. You can't really see them at the moment. The camera will change any second, and it will give us an idea. There's quite a big pile-up in the midfield. Actually, there's a big crash in the midfield. Huge action in the midfield there, and the Torrent Motorsports car does lead into turn 1, which is Petr Kassar. But will the race be red flagged? Because there's quite a few cars out in the midfield. There's a hell of a pile-up in the midfield. There's Chris Allen involved, Jeff Mead's involved. There's Vernus's involved, Pestov's involved. As we keep an eye on the still piling up into turn 1, we keep an eye on the leaders. Petr Kassar coming down into the first hairpin bend. He leads from Martin Schumacher, still want to say Michael, Terence Gresh P3, Alex Cooper P4, Jason Muscat, Alex Cooper back to 4th after that superb pole position lap. Mindgaard Columbus has dropped to P7, no sign of a restart yet. There's only 2 cars retired so far, a lot of cars with damage, but only 2 retired. As the leaders get very sideways there, Terence Gresh up to P3 and Jason Muscat going around the outside of Alex Cooper as well to take P4, so Multiforce having a great start to this race. Adam Rouse is P6. We're still watching Petr Kassar there, who leads the way from Martin Schumacher, but we're going to keep an eye on this because this is where Schumacher will start to close back up now, as Petr Kassar, we think, is on the harder tyres, and you can see Schumacher taking time out of him. We'll go on board with Petr Kassar. As you look back, you can see Martin Schumacher just behind us. We will try and ride on board with Schumacher instead and look at the frontal view and see what he can see as he closes right up now on Petr Kassar. Petr trying to go defensive, but Martin Schumacher cuts up the inside. So much more grip and so much more downforce on the car. He takes the lead back. Petr, obviously, if he's on harder tyres, it will take a few laps as Petr gets very close on the braking there, nearly swipes the back of Schumacher there, just trying to look down the field, see what else is going on. So there's a great scrap going on for 4th position as Muscat tries to fend off. We'll quickly switch to that as Schumacher pulls away. Muscat trying to fend off Alex Cooper there for P4, Adam Rouse just on the back of this in P6. Gavin Thomas up to P11, next start for Gavin as well, great to see him up there. We have 5 cars out actually, so I'm actually surprised this hasn't been restarted because there are 6 cars out now, I believe. I'm really surprised this race hasn't been restarted, but the first lap is now over. Jeff Mead, unfortunately, a casualty of that. He's been taken out in that turn 1 accident. Not quite sure why the admins haven't restarted this race, because I always thought the ruling was 5 cars out, and that was a restart, but obviously not. In fact, it has just been restarted. The admin has obviously been listening to the broadcast. The admin has restarted the race. We did have 5 cars out there. So, if Jeff Mead is watching this, get back in the server. Jeff has left the server, but Jeff needs to get back in. But he can't, unfortunately, because he's left the server. So they've restarted the race. I'm just pointing out to the admins now that yeah, they're going to the warm-up. Jeff, I've just pointed out to the admins that Jeff Mead has left the server, so Jeff hopefully can get back in. If Ian Story's still watching, I know you're probably on the same channel as Jeff. Let him know to come back in the server, mate. I'm glad they did restart that actually, because there was 5 or 6 cars. There was a huge pile up in the background. We didn't see it all. Thank you to Keith Story for informing that Jeff Mead is on the way now. Jeff Mead is just rejoining the server, so he'll get another chance to start from his 22nd position grid slot. So that's all worked out okay. But there was a huge pile up. We didn't quite see what happened, and I unfortunately missed it myself. I could see it in the background on my replay, and it looked like someone just got into the side of someone, and it just caused chaos basically. There was cars everywhere. There's at least 10 cars involved in that accident, but only 4 or 5 retired. At the end of the first lap, I think 6 cars had retired, which obviously caused the restarts. And it was chaos up front as well, because obviously we had Schumacher taking the lead from Casar, who's on the harder tyres. Jeff Mead is now back in the server, so good to have Jeff back with us. He's back in his P27 grid slot, so we have a full grid once again, and we will try once again to get this race underway. And we'll try and do a better job this time of keeping in touch with what's going on through the field, because it's such a big field, 27 guys. To try and keep an eye on them all is pretty impossible. Well, thank you to the race director as well for pointing out some things to us. I'm not quite sure who the race director is today. Possibly Dave actually, but whoever it is, he keeps messaging me and passing me some information. It's OJ Clark, so thank you to OJ Clark for providing some information to us, because it's very helpful. OJ doing a good job as well, admin in this session, must be said. But Dave and OJ Clark both provided me with great information for this race, so thank you very much. Your help is appreciated. As the warm-up lap gets underway once again. Briefly check on the field, make sure there's no issues off to the line. Everyone, Morten Wernersen seems to have lagged out, which means he'll be non-starting unless they decide to restart for that. I'm not sure if it's only one restart and that's it, but Morten Wernersen, as the race director reminds the drivers to stop chatting. It's supposed to be a silent race, and some drivers taking a few liberties there. The race director stamps his authority, and we now have silence again. But Morten Wernersen still hasn't made the start. Morten Wernersen is still sat in the pit lane with electrical problems by the looks of it, so there'll be one driver out already, as Cooper desperately trying to get temperature into his tyres. He's really pounding this outlap in some respects. He's not hanging about, he's backed it off now slightly. The field is extremely bunched up. Sorry, extremely spread out, sorry, not bunched up, but it should bunch up now as we go into the final sector. The grid is still the same as it was before, obviously, so no need to run through it all again, as there are 27 drivers. It does give you a lump in your throat after reading the whole lot of them, that's for sure. Apologies if anyone's eating at the moment, but that had to be said. As Chris Allen spins at the rear on the formation lap, obviously trying to slide it, and the field spread is unbelievable. Chris Allen is just coming through the first sector beam. The leaders are coming through the sector 2 beam. So the field really does need to bunch up, and Chris Allen needs to get on with this. It's not just him at the back, there's Mal McKee as well as Dalton in the back, Chris Williamson. They all need to catch up. And Cooper now back in the field right up, you can see, very enclosed there in the background. And you need to be careful now, because they're coming around that fast corner there, and there's going to be a few hot-headed cars coming around that corner. Surprised we haven't had the collision yet. We've all managed to keep it nice and safe so far. Wernersen's still not on the grid, but as yet to leave the server or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with Wernersen, but this could cause a problem, because he's currently saying he's still on the grid in 20th, but he isn't. So hopefully this won't cause any issues. Really on board Alex Coop trying to get to, you can see him revving the rears, trying to get some temperatures in the rear tyres, weaving slightly. Martin Schumacher pulls up to his grid slot in second position. He had a great start to the first race, just got outdone into turn 1 by the top speed advantage of the Torrents, and Cassar in particular. Columbus didn't have a very good start, he was down to P7 I believe. Try and keep an eye on if the field has bunched up somewhat now. Chris Allen, yes, they've all bunched now. Chris Allen is now back onto the back of the grid. So the 2012 Dim Inc. Korean Grand Prix is about to get underway again. We have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4th light, and the 5th light is now on, and the greens are low. We can't really see what's happened to it, and once again there's a mass pile-up in the background. This could be another red flag, because once again in the background there are many cars involved. I don't think it's as many as last time, but cranes involved again, poisoning. We'll try and keep an eye on the leaders for now. Alex Cooper leads the way. He's got a much better start to this race now, but second position, Cassar now comes through to take that second position from Schumacher. If we look back, you can see Schumacher there, this top speed advantage of the Torrents as the 2 Motorforce guys pop out. And once again, the Motorforce guys have a great starts. Terence Gresham to P4 once again. I think he got up to 3rd in the first race. Alex Cooper leads the way, made a much better start this time. Mindergas Klumpis once again making a slightly lacklustre start than in P7, but it is his first race, so he can't be forgiven. You're currently watching Pet Cassar. Schumacher very close to him. Schumacher using the same tactics he used against Damon Hill there to try and take that P2 position. Obviously got much more tyre temperature at this moment in time. Terence Gresh P4, great job from him to be up there. And Jason Muscat challenging for that 5th position on Adam Rao. You can see now. Yep, Jason Muscat's at the inside, but it's not quite working out there. Rouse holds on the outside. Can Jason pass him on the outside like he did before? Tries to get the switchback, doesn't quite work. We're going to keep an eye on Schumacher and they'll see if he can off the same manoeuvre he pulled a minute ago as we go on board with Peter Cassar. This was the same place Schumacher passed him the last time round. Schumacher's got more grip at this moment in time on the tyre compound he's chosen, or the wing setting he's chosen. At the moment there are only 3 cars out, so I don't know if we're going to get a restart this time around. There was less cars involved than there were the first time, but still a big accident. Cooper's pulled a 1.1 second gap out on his first lap. So as they come across the line, it's Alex Cooper leading from Peter Cassar P2, Schumacher 3rd, Gresh 4th, Rouse 5th, Muscat 6th, Columbus 7th, DeVos 8th, Cullen 9th, and DeVarkos P10 as we go into the long back straight now. Now watch that Torrent Motorsport car pull away. And watch Terence Gresh try and get on the back of Martin Schumacher, and he's doing so. Terence Gresh also got superior straight line speed compared to the inner vision of Martin Schumacher and pulls out to go to the inside. We'll go on to the TV camera view as Gresh tries to launch it down the inside, and he does so. He's got the inside line. Schumacher trying to squeeze him onto the outside and does so. And you can see the background there, Muscat taking Rouse for that P5 position as Columbus nips through as well now. So the great three-way scrap going on there. We're going to keep looking at Schumacher as they come through. Gresh going down the inside of Schumacher. Schumacher leaving no room. Schumacher runs wide though. Gresh is going to have the advantage off the corners, but he's on the outside line for the right-hander. That's the only problem. But Gresh got a lot more grip as well than Schumacher at this moment in time. Schumacher not looking as strong on this start. The battle for 5th position has resumed, but Muscat's taking it for now. Columbus just on the back. He fell back after that manoeuvre. Not quite sure if he outbraked himself there. We now have Lotnowski. The retirements for the first lap. We'll just quickly go through them as we switch back to leaders now, because this is getting pretty close. Alex Cooper's leading the way. For some reason it's showing Peter Cassar as the leading car, but it's not actually currently. It is Alex Cooper. There we are. Yeah, the retirements so far are Morten Wernersen, who obviously didn't take the start. Timo Turco also out. Martin Bulgin and Lotnowski all out of this race. Boy Bryson's had a disaster, unfortunately. He's down in P23, so he's had the looks of it a pit stop, and he's really struggling with the car. Simon Crane well down the field. Alex Cooper sets the fastest lap at 45.7. Schumacher's getting it together in P3 now, and he's actually catching up to Peter Cassar again now. Terence Gresh has fallen slightly off the pace as Muscat, huge battle for the 5th position again. As Columbus spins, we just caught an eye of that. Columbus has spun into turn 1, the exit of turn 1 into turn 2. He's down to 10th position now as we can keep an eye on Jason Muscat, who's trying to fend off Adam Rouse, who's got superior straight line speed. Adam Rouse pulls to the inside. Will he take a lunge up the inside? No, he takes a sensible pill, goes to the outside, tries to square it off the corners. Muscat gets very sideways, and they do make a slight bit of contact there. That was Muscat losing the rear end there. So some guys really struggling here. Schumacher's almost onto the back of Peter Cassar now. keeping out down the field, see if any surprises. Not really. Jeff Mead up to P15 actually. Now he's got away properly. He's up to P15 doing a great job. Just behind Gavin Thomas in 14th as the battle for 4th place. 5th place gets heated once again. Muscat did really well to save that car immediately going into that hairpin, that's for sure, but it cost himself and Rouse quite a bit of time. The leaders doing stable lap times. Cooper, Cassar, Schumacher all within a couple of tenths of each other. As Muscat really seemed to be struggling. He wasn't as fast as Gresh in the qualifying session. Gresh left him a good 2 seconds down the road from this battle that's going on here. As Muscat runs slightly wide into the first part of that chicane, which hampers him for the next part, and he runs wide once again. Rouse on the outside, we can see, but he'll not make the manoeuvre there. Rouse breaks early to try and get the switch back, and he does so because that's put Muscat wide. Rouse now is on the outside line though. Can he do this round it? Oh, he puts it right around the outside. Can he do it? And he does. He pulls it off. What a brilliant move there from Adam Rouse. Very brave. Jason Muscat falls onto P6, and now he's got Philip Cullen right on the back of him. But Muscat's got really good straight line speed, so I don't see how Rouse is going to be able to hold him off as we go into these we head into the first corner now. And Muscat pays him back, goes straight round the outside of Rouse there, so great. And now Philip Cullen getting involved on the outside. Philip Cullen just underneath the rear wing of Jason Muscat. Adam Rouse now trying to fight back. He's got the toe of Jason Muscat just in front of him, as you can see. He's in the full slipstream now, so Rouse takes back that P6 position, and Muscat loses it on the braking, puts it into the wall. Really struggling on the braking now. He's kept it going somehow. The damage will be quite significant though, I would have thought there. And Devarkos is P7. Devarkos has just moved up there, you can see, into P7. But Devarkos doing a great job there as Phil Cullen runs slightly wide in front of us, which allows Adam Rouse through into P5. But Devarkos defending now from Jason Muscat. Quickly run down the order as we've got some action on track. Alex Cooper P1, Cassar P2, Schumacher 3rd, Gresh 4th, Rouse 5th, Cullen 6th, Devarkos up in P7. Jason Muscat, as we just saw, fall down to P8, and he's very close to Devarkos now. He's got the inside line for the next corner. It's going to be a very brave move if he tries it. No, he backs out of it slightly there because that was an interesting way to place to pass. You've got Huxtra 9th, Pestos 10th having a great race. Columbus P11 after that spin. Mark DeVos P12, Rick Scott 13th, Jeff Mead now up to 14th position because Gavin Thomas looks like he's lost some time, a lot of time actually. And unfortunately Gavin Thomas once again having a disastrous race after a pretty decent practice and qualifying. William Tringas is P15, Chris Allen, and is that, I think Pestos has just spun as well because Pestos has just gone down to P12 as that's Devarkos and no, it's not, that's Muscat and Hoekstra there getting very close together. Missed what happened to Muscat there as I was reading down the order. Front three are very solid still. Cooper pulling away a 2.8 second gap now to Cassar. The action is currently actually for P5 as Phil Cullen's trying to get past Rouse. And he's achieved that in some respects. You can see he's just got the inside line. That's Cullen on the inside, Rouse on the outside. Now if Rouse is clever, he'll set him up for the exit, which is exactly what he's done, and get a good toe, get a good drive off that corner, get a good toe on this next straight now. But Cullen had pretty good traction there, didn't he? So Rouse is still in the slipstream though, and Rouse will, I'm sure, take a lunge, but Cullen goes to the inside to defend, Rouse on the outside. We've seen many outside overtaking today, which isn't really the case. Usually the inside is the favoured line, but not today. That's a slap still with Alec Cooper, who's leading this race comfortably by 2.5 seconds, but Cassar now starting to get into his own, so I believe them hard tyres, which we think he's running, are now starting to get up to temperature. Great battles all the way around the track, but we don't know which one to focus on. There's a great battle for 9th position. We'll just quickly switch to that and give that a bit of TV coverage. Hoekstra defending from Columbus in 9th. And behind them it's actually DeVos who's providing the action there, just behind in 10th position. As Columbus gets past DeVos. And we're back up into P10 as Alex Cooper sets the fastest lap again. Can Cassar respond to that? No, he lost a hell of a lot of time there, so Cassar had a very poor lap. And that's allowed Schumacher right onto the back of him. We'll quickly switch to this. It was Cooper with a 45.0, Cassar did a 46.8, so Cassar must have had a mistake in that final sector. Yeah, Petter apparently got sideways in sector 3 according to Dave Carr Smith. Thank you for that. Thank you to OJ Clark again for providing some information. We'll quickly switch back to Philip Cullen in P5, who's trying to defend from Rouse. Cullen on the inside again, Rouse on the outside. Rouse has currently got the position, but Cullen will just let off the brake pedal and lay it back down the inside. That's exactly what he does, but Rouse on the outside once again trying to take it as they come off the corner. This time Rouse has the better traction, but Cullen is in the slipstream. We'll go on board with Cullen as we go into the left-hander next. The left hairpin, he'll launch it down the inside, I'm sure, because he'll have the track position. Oh, they touched wheels, they only bang wheels side by side, but that was enough to unsettle. As we come up to lap one of the... quite sure that is actually one of the Kerno Sports cars, I believe. No, it's a Tiger Express, Chris Williamson. We're still on board with Phil Cullen. Terence Gresham and Lonely P4, but these two guys really battling hard now. Rouse has managed to take that position, but let's hope they don't take each other out. DeVarkos and Muscat side by side as well, pretty much, as they come through the... There's battles everywhere, it's hard to keep up with this. This is crazy. Schumacher's right on the back of Kassar as well as we go through the final sector. We'll quickly take a look at that. We're on board with Schumacher as you come into the right hand and now the left. You can see Kassar running slightly wide again, and Kassar goes very wide there. Schumacher gets his run, but can't quite make the move stick. Now Kassar will just pull away now down this main straight because he's got superior straight line speed. All this is helping Alex Cooper, obviously, is the man who needs to win this race in front of Kassar to have any chance of closing the gap on Kassar in the championship. Schumacher right on the back now. But that time round it was Cooper who had a poor lap, 46.9. So Cooper struggling as well, that looks like everyone's struggling, but Cooper did have traffic, so possibly the traffic intervening there as Kassar now comes into traffic. If you look on board with Kassar, you can see just in front of us we have quite a bit of traffic in front. I believe that's Covenant. Adam Rouse and Cullen had it again down this back straight. We're on board with Rouse, but behind us is Cullen on the outside trying to take this position. These two have been battling for the last 4 or 5 laps now. Cullen on the outside line, just as he was last time. And Cullen spins. Cullen, that's unfortunate. That was a great battle there. Cullen does actually spin that, but he gets it going nicely again to regain P6. So he hasn't actually lost a position there, but quite a bit of lap time. About 3 seconds he's lost there. That's unfortunate, but that does make this a three-way scrap now for P6 because DeVos has just apparently made a fantastic move around the outside of Pestov's, but it looks like he's spun because he's now behind him by 3 places. Very difficult to keep up as Williams and their spins in the hairpin, I believe that was. Keeping an eye on the leaders as Schumacher closes up again once again on Peter Kassar. Terence Gresh P4 holding his own, a big gap in front and a big gap behind. Rouse and Cullen were battling, they've managed to lose that train, but DeVarkos having a great race actually. He's usually up there at the start but usually drops back, but not today. He's well on the pace. He's right on the back of Phil Cullen now, who's just had that spin as we saw, and behind DeVarkos you can just see there is Jason Muscat. Lumley's not having a very strong race at the moment, not backing up his qualifying form. Yeah, and DeVos spun apparently in the exact same way we saw Phil Cullen spin, so obviously the 2 teammates there as well, as OJ Clark points out, both struggling. We set up as Kassar is struggling to fend off Martin Schumacher as we come into turn 1. Schumacher in the perfect position for a slipstream, but we know how fast this Torrent car is in a straight line. I don't see Schumacher being able to do anything about it, but Schumacher's not exactly slow in a straight line, is he? He's riding the slipstream, and he's managing to keep with the Torrent Motorsports car, and he's managing to, I think he's just eased off there to keep the position. Is he going to lunge down the inside? No, he isn't, he's saving it. And Schumacher gets very close to the back there. That was extremely close. I'm really surprised if he didn't make contact there, but that was very close. I bet Kassar was slightly worried there when he saw that. Yeah, I'm sure there was slight front wing contact there between the two. That is Schumacher's front wing touching the rear tyre of Kassar. But they both managed to get round. Jeff Mead still doing a great job in P14. For No Fear Racing, standing for David Fiddick. Quickly run down the order before anything else happens on track. Well, actually I said that, and no, it's just Rouse back overtaking Coven and the back marker there, so nothing significant. Cooper leads the way by 3.3 seconds from Peter Kassar, who's P2 trying to fend off, as we've been watching for the last few laps, trying to fend off Martin Schumacher, and this is where Schumacher's strong for this final sector. You can see he's closing up extremely quick. Martin Schumacher right on the back of it now is heading into the final few corners again. And you can see how much time he's made up on this lap, because a minute ago we was a good 3, 4, 5, possibly more car lengths behind. Terence Gresh P4 still holding his own, 13 seconds behind the leader. Adam Rouse P5. As Schumacher gets a great run off the final corner, using the superior grip he has with that car. Will he have a lunge into turn 1? I think it's pretty pointless if he does, because he's just going to get overtaken. No, he doesn't. He takes a sensible pill. Now he needs to do what he did. Oh, and Schumacher spins. Schumacher, we're on board as he does it. Schumacher spins, and he's going to pull right on front of the track in front of a back marker. He still holds his 3rd position, but Schumacher spins there as we were on board with that. He'd been furious with that. But that drops that battle down. Well, that ruins that battle in some respects. But Schumacher, what is still 3rd, Gresh 4th, Adam Rouse P5, Philip Cullen 6th, Georgios Stavrakos P7, Jason Muscat P8, Andres Pestovs P9, and we'll go to that battle because it seems to be the closest one on the track at the moment, as Pestovs tries to hold off Rick Scott in the CSG Motorsports number 2 car. Pestovs P9, Rick Scott P10, Mindaugas Klumpis wouldn't really be there, to be honest. He's in P11 at the moment, but he's had a couple of spins, a couple of half spins, and it's cost him. DeVos P12, Wupke Hoekstra 13th, Jeff Mead 14th, William Tringas 15th, Chris Allen 16th, Gavin Thomas slipped down even further now to 17th, Boyd Bryson, after what I can only imagine is a spin or a crash at the start, is 18th unfortunately, battling with Mal McKee for 19th, Matt Clip now a lap down already, as we see the guys getting very close there. Columbia's getting very close to Rick Scott. Matt Clip 20th, Simon Crane 21st, Tommy Koivunen 22nd, and Chris Williamson, the final runner, in 23rd position. It'll be interesting to see now if Schumacher can close that gap back to Kassar. It is 5 seconds or so, but this will leave Kassar on his own now, and Kassar can now focus on catching Alex Cooper, who's pretty much got a 4-second gap at the end of the last lap. We're still watching the bottom of the night as Pestovs goes very wide over the curb, which gives Rick Scott, he had to back out of that I think, because he got very close. Columbus has spun once again. Yes, Columbus has spun once again. Thank you, OJ, for pointing that out. We just noticed it. Columbus is down to 13th position. So Mindaugas Columbus having the best of debut races here in the Supercup Series, which is brought to you by simrace.tv. We're watching live on simrace.tv now in 720p HD. Thank you to simrace.tv for this superb coverage now. Really is top quality now, and all top leagues in the world are using this simrace.tv, and you can see why. When it works, it's brilliant. As once again Pestovs defending into turn 1, this time Rick Scott a lot closer. We'll go on board with Rick as we're in the slipstream of Andres Pestovs' NRT racing car as we head down the long back straight. Doesn't matter if you don't get in the slipstream straight away, but you can top speed of Pestovs is brilliant, because Rick Scott in the slipstream is making no impact whatsoever, and he brakes very late. That's always a scary moment when that happens. Jason Muscat and Stavrakos also very close. We'll go on board with P8 man Jason Muscat as he's right on the back of Stavrakos now. Kassar did close the lead down by half second on the previous lap. Now it'll be interesting, we're 9 laps in now, to see when the first pit stops happen. It's 33 lap race. If you're going to one stop, you're going to be coming in a what, lap 15, lap 16, possibly a bit later if you want to have fresher tyres for the final stint. As Stavrakos locks the inside right wheel there, trying to get it stopped for well, it's almost a hairpin, isn't it? Forgot to mention as well in the previous plug, obviously this race also sponsored, this series also sponsored by Simink. And you can see as Kassar took the fastest lap there, he really took, actually saying that, he didn't take that much time out of Cooper. Only 4/10 on that previous lap. Cooper may have had traffic, not quite sure. No, there's no one there. So Schumacher did his best lap on a 45.1, which was also faster than Cooper. So now then two have stopped battling. They're lapping very similar. So Schumacher and Kassar do have similar pace, and it's a shame that they've been split up like that, unfortunately. But it was the mistake from Schumacher which cost that. And yes, I was going to say the sponsor, the title sponsor of this series, Simink. You can see their sponsors all down the straights on the banners on the side of the track. So Simink kindly sponsoring us as Muscat and Stavrakos will quickly switch to that in P8 position. Stavrakos lost a position down straight. He's got the, I wouldn't say prime position, but he's got a better position now on the exit to try and get the slipstream from Jason Muscat, and he does that indeed. Muscat will stay to the left if he's got any sense and try and defend from Stavrakos, so he's going to have a go. Muscat looks like he's lagged out. Yeah, Muscat, the usual problem. Unfortunately we weren't on board with him there because he's somewhere on the moon now. I'm glad we didn't stay on board with Muscat there. That's unfortunate because that was a good battle, but that releases Stavrakos back into P7. Rick Scott is 8th now, as he's managed to get past Pestovs, and Muscat has indeed retired. That's very unfortunate for Jason Muscat there, providing us with some great entertainment. And Phil Cullen, yeah, I was going to say Phil Cullen. In fact, Rouse is catching Gresh now for 4th place, so Rouse is only 2 seconds behind Gresh. That was 5 or 6 seconds. Phil Cullen has got some problems. Phil Cullen's got an issue because he's down to 7th position. He's lost a lot of time on this lap. Phil Cullen has got some issue. What's happened with his car? We can't see anything, but has he got a puncture or something? Because I saw, and Schumacher sets the fastest lap, 44.5. 44.4 even. That's nearly a second faster than the leaders. But it just shows how fast Schumacher is when he's in clean air, and he's closed the gap already to Kassar. He's not far behind him, but what's up with Phil Cullen? I saw Devarkos closing very quickly, and will Phil Cullen pit? Yes, he does. He keeps to the inside, so we'll leave him with his troubles for now. But that puts Devarkos into a superb 6th position. So Phil Cullen in the pits. This promotes everyone behind him up a place. Obviously, not quite sure what's happened with Phil Cullen. I'm sure we'll get some insight. Yeah, Dave R. Smith is saying something's very wrong with his car because the car just speared off for no reason. So we're not quite sure what's happened there. Maybe some sort of steering failure or something like that, but or even a suspension problem. Maybe he's hit some sort of abandoned front wing. We'll try and find out why that's happened. But that's a real shame for Phil. Obviously, like I say, he's had some bad luck lately. His consistency at the beginning of the season put him as a championship contender because of the podiums and 2nd positions he was bringing home behind the Torrent cars, but not anymore. He's not having the luck at the moment. Jeff Mead spins in turn 1 in 12th position, unfortunately. Just about to be lapped by the leaders, Jeff, actually, not far off. So, as we watch Martin Schumacher as he comes through the traffic, this time by Cooper is just coming out the final corner now, so we'll quickly watch Cooper as we come across the start-finish line. Alex Cooper sets a 1 minute 44.8, that's his fastest lap of the race. Kassar now comes across the line, does a 45.5, well slower. Now Martin Schumacher, what's he going to do? Martin Schumacher 44.9, so both a lot faster than Peter Kassar that time round. Cooper the faster of the three. The gap between first and third 7.7 seconds, and it's Terence Gresh in P4. Adam Rouse still closing down in P5. Devarkos P6 having a great run. Hopefully Devarkos can keep this going because this is by far his strongest performance this season. Big battle for P8 at the moment as Rick Scott's pulled away from Pestovs now. Rick Scott always down the main straight. Pestovs trying to fend off Columbus, who's had a half spin again by the looks of it. Hoekstra P10, that was mainly back markers they were lapping there. It might not be all over for Phil Cullen. He's come back out in 11th position. If he can go to the end now on this set of tyres, he might be okay. He might still get some decent points, but it's nearly the pit stop window anyway. Devarkos gets very late. They're really struggling with the tyres out here, and it's a credit to the let's say the top 6 who have kept it on the track and not really made any mistakes at all. As you see Columbus now closing in on Andres Pestov's P8 position. Looking further down the field, not really much going on. All pretty spread out as we go further down the field, so not much to cover down there, so we'll keep in touch with these leaders. And I'll keep an eye on the lap times for you again as we come across the start and finish line. Alex Cooper comes across the line, 45.1. Peter Kassar will come across the line any second, and he does a 45.5, so a lot slower again. Martin Schumacher 44.5. But Martin Schumacher takes it half a second out the leaders. So this is, if we can keep this sort of closing speed, we've got a great battle for the lead here because Kassar's faster than Cooper and Schumacher's faster than both of them. When it works out evenly, let's say. Gresh still losing ground to Rouse in a lap's time. I reckon Rouse will be on the back of him for 4th position. Devarkos still holding P6. Rick Scott 7th. Pestovs and Columbus are close again in P8, so we'll quickly switch to them. We'll go on board with Mindergaus. As he comes out into turn 1, you can see the superior straight line speed really helping him here, and he lunges down the inside from a long way back. Will he get stopped? He locks the inside front, and he does. It's skirmish on the exit there. Now where's Pestovs? Pestovs is on the inside and he's taken the position back. So great scrap going on here for 8th position. Columbus very sensible there, just letting sorry, Pestov's letting Mindegaus make the mistake, but Mindegaus has got the inside line now. Pestov's once again breaks later, and Columbus loses the rear end slightly there. That's forced him wide, but he's managed to block pass almost there, Andre. But certainly that Pro Motorsports car not handling well through the middle sector, that's for sure. Upke Hulkstra still in 10th position now. It'd be interesting to see Phil Cullen's lap times when he gets underway on these new tyres. He can start making some inroads. We'll also keep an eye on the leaders and try and keep an eye on that DRS flat. Well, the pit lane speed limiter, sorry, comes on. Cooper crosses the line this time by and does a 45.2, so he's very consistent. Kassar will come across the line any second, and Kassar does a 45.1, so very consistent. But Schumacher was well quicker again at lap, a 44.5, and he's nearly right on the back of Kassar now. Martin Schumacher looking very quick once again, although running very wide in turn 1 actually, so we've got to be careful there. Gresh and Rouse still a similar gap between them. And we've been asked if we wouldn't mind showing a bit more of Jeff Mead in 12th position, as he's currently running 12th, so we will. No, we won't, because his car's got some sort of very strange problem there, so we'll quickly switch away from that. Unfortunately, we can't show much of Jeff at the moment, because his car seems to be falling to pieces as he goes around the track. Still very quickly though, so rather Jeff than me in that car, that's for sure. And now Rouse is right on the back of Terence Gresh. We'll go on board with Rouse. So Gresh had a 5-second gap. Gresh and Rouse launches down the outside. He's made a few passes on the outside today, Rouse. Gresh says, no, you're not doing that to me. And he bumps him wide. Gresh takes a slightly over defensive line there, which costs him on the exit. And this has allowed Rouse once again the better drive off the corner. Not quite sure why Terence did that, because there was no real need to do that. Slightly over defensive there as Rouse gets very close as you come through the tricky right and left section into the fast left hander now. Rouse taking a sensible tablet once again, deciding not to try anything silly there. A few pit lights I've noticed are on now, so be interested to see if anyone comes in. I'll keep an eye on this. Cooper goes past. I think Kassar will also go past this lap as well. We're still riding on board Rouse. Kassar goes past. Schumacher goes past. Let's check the lap times this time by 45.0 for Cooper. 45.3 for Kassar, 44.9, so still faster from Schumacher, not as fast, but I know he did have traffic in the last few corners there. He needs to be careful because he's running wide in turn 1. If the admins, yeah, Schumacher's received a warning, track limits, and we've just seen that a few times now. Martin Schumacher running wide in turn 1, if he continues to do that, he will receive a penalty, so he needs to be very careful because he's in a good position. But if he continues doing that, we'll keep an eye on him now as we're watching him. If you keep an eye, he keeps running outside the track limits, and if that's the case, he deserves to be penalised, but hopefully he takes note of the message. Now, sometimes you can outbrake yourself, so the admins need to be very careful, because you need to judge it fairly, let's say, because you can run wide, and apparently he's doing it in the penultimate turn as well, which is something else I've noticed. Rouse and Gresh side by side for 4th position. Rouse is finally in front of Gresh. We'll go on board with Gresh, who's trying to retaliate as we head into the left-hander hairpin. Gresh brakes slightly early, but Rouse very good on the brakes, Rouse, isn't he? And that's how he's passing most of the cars around the outside, because he's so good on the brakes, he can just take them around the outside. Oh, Rouse, the quicker of the two, does move up into that 4th position, so great drive from Rouse, really showing well at this track. We'll quickly switch to Schumacher, and we'll go on board with him and see if he does cut the track this time round, as that battle seems to have solved itself. Stoffs and Columbus are still very close together. So we're heading now into the penultimate corner. Let's see if Schumacher does decide to cut this time, or if he's taken notice of what the admins are telling him. And this time he does use the proper line. That's correct. He didn't overrun it. He had 2 wheels inside the track, and that is fine. Still under the leader's pit. Now, the other place I noticed he was cutting majority was turn 1, but was he just running very wide? Let's see. Coming into turn 1 now. He's taken more time out of Kassar. That's Kassar now into turn 1. Schumacher, that's still illegal because he's outside the white line. That was still illegal, but it wasn't as much. So will that be deemed? He didn't really gain anything from that. But the rules are the rules at the end of the day. He doesn't really gain anything from that like he did before. Pestovs and Columbus very close together for 8th position. Columbus does take that position from Pestovs now, makes a big mistake in the previous corner actually, which kind of ruins that battle. Lap times last time round, 44.8 from Cooper. Eddie Kassar 45.0, slightly slower, but Martin Schumacher 45.3. I lost a bit of time on that time round actually. Rouse has pulled significantly away from Terence Gresh now. Rick Scott is the first man to pit. He's currently in the pit lane now. But he's taken the chance of pitting slightly earlier, but then again it's still bang on the halfway distance. We're on lap 16 now, lap 17 as you can see at the top of these screens. The leaders will be coming in soon as well. I mean, we are half distance now. The man who doesn't want to take too many risks is Alex Cooper, who's leading this race, but Petr Kassar, will he stop? And Martin Schumacher's pit light is on. Alex Cooper goes through, Petr Kassar goes through, Martin Schumacher, will he pit? He is indeed, he's coming into the pit. Let's watch him in this tricky pit lane. He gets it nice and neat there. Gets it slowed down for the, locks the inside wheel there, but gets it slowed down nicely as we come into the pit lane with him. But the big question of the race is this man pitting, Petr Kassar, will he pit? Is he on a hard tyre doing a zero stop? But the only difference is around this track, like Canada, the fuel usage is very high because as you're seeing it's a long lap, a lot of on throttle, it's at least 60-70% full throttle usage. So Rick Scott comes back out in P9. Rick Scott having a strong race as well, it has to be said. Rick Scott having one of his stronger races. As you see there, I think that's Jeff Mead actually there with the spaceship or whatever it is he's driving today. That is a mess, that car, whatever he's done to it. I know it's obviously a graphical issue, I know it's not Jeff's fault, but it certainly doesn't make for pleasant viewing, that's for sure. Pestov's pits, Devarkov's pits, we're going to keep an eye on the leaders as well, sorry. There's a wing in the middle of the track actually. Schumacher come out in 4th position, he's 15 seconds behind the lead. Now this will give him an advantage actually because he will have warmer tyres than the two leaders if they decide to pit. Cooper's coming around the final sector now. And his pit light isn't on, Kassar's pit light also isn't on, Rouse is up to P3, his pit light just comes on now, so Kassar is going to pit. Columbus is 5th position. How's that happened then? I think Gresh is pitted as well, Terence Gresh is pitted. Devarkos we already saw in the pits, Rick Scott has already done his pit stop. Although his pit light is on again, so he needs to turn that off. So Rick Scott does need to turn his pit light off because the drivers will think he's still going to pit. Phil Cullen's already pitted, he's back into 10th position. Cooper and Kassar come across the line. Still no sign of them pitting. Rouse is in this lap, I believe, because his pit light is on. This will let Schumacher back out into the lead. Sorry, into that 3rd position. Now, has Schumacher had some sort of problem? I'm not quite sure if that gap's realistic or not, but apparently Martin Schumacher is now 42 seconds behind Alex Cooper. Now I know it's a long pit lane, so that could be that is actually a true gap as well. So that's how much time you lose in the pits by the looks of it. Yeah, he's 42 seconds behind Alex Cooper. That's amazing how much time you lose in the pit lane there. There's 2:13 on his outlap. I'm just going to check the other guys. Yeah, it's about right, 2:15 for the other guys. So Schumacher not having any problems there. It's just really slow pit lane. As Rouse does pit, he comes back out in 4th position. Terence Gresh just behind. He came in the background, just coming around the first corner there. Columbus also in the pits, which allows Georgios Devarkos to go back up into P6. We're hearing that Alex Cooper is pitting this lap, but I'm not quite sure if that's the case because his pit light isn't on, unless he's just choosing not to do it because there's no one directly behind him. Will Kassar pit, or will Kassar continue through? We'll keep an eye on Alex Cooper as he comes around his final sector now. Alex Cooper is going to pit, he's slowed right down. Alex Cooper does pit. You can see, and Kassar goes through into his customary 1st position. Got very used to being in that position this year. Now let's hope from our point of view that Kassar does pit. So if the Torrent Motorsport bosses are listening, force Kassar to do a one-stop this race to give us a race, because if Kassar stays out he's going to have a 40-second advantage. Now where's Schumacher? This is the key now. There's Schumacher, so he's a long way behind. There's been some issue there because I know he's on colder tyres, but the gap was never that big. Cooper's going through turn 2. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but the gap was never that big before the pit stop. It's saying 15 seconds on our screen. It was about 6 when he went into the pits. Now I know Schumacher's had slow outlet because of his tyres, but he did do a 153 before he pitted. Now was that because he went to the pit lane, or I'm not quite sure on that one. Dave's just pointed out something as well, possibly damage, we're not quite sure on that one. Boyd Bryson and Tommy Coyven have retired as well, along with Mal McKee and Jason Muscat. I missed that. Jason Muscat has retired. No, he didn't, sorry. He lagged out, didn't he? Apologies for that. Big battle. Big battle for 8th position. Sorry, for 7th position, actually, because Rick Scott's just in front of us here as well. So we've got Rick Scott, Andres Pestos, Philip Cullen and Mindergaus Columbus just in the background of this. In the background, filtering through the final few corners there. Kassar goes through again, and this is looking rather ominous that he's not going to be pitting. And if he doesn't pit, we've got a result basically, because I can't see anyone catching him. He's got nearly 30-second lead as Cullen is right in the slipstream. Pestos, we go on board, looking the rearward view from Pestos. Cullen not making inroads though. It was on the inside. That's Rick Scott. We've passed Rick Scott in all that actually. So Pestos got superior straight line speed to Rick Scott as well. Rick Scott comes out the corner nicely. He's got the toe which might just save him. As we can see on our outside there, you can see Rick Scott on the inside, Philip Cullen in the middle of the track. Rick Scott does hold the inside line, and we see Rick Scott keep position. He'll push Cullen out wide, but Cullen having none of it and goes clean round the outside. So that just shows the difference in warm and cold tyres. That solves that one. Now Gresh is actually catching Rouse for P4 again now. They're on new tyres, so it seems that Rouse were quicker on the old tyres. Now it's the other way around, but this is great scrap for P7, sorry. Varkos well in front of this now. He's a good 18 seconds down the road. In fact, he's got 18 seconds in front of him to Gresh and 18 seconds behind him. So the Varkos, all he needs to do is bring it home now, and he's on for an excellent 6th position. Still not pitting. The gap is 27 seconds to Alex Cooper, and Schumacher's a further 13 seconds behind, so he is closing on Cooper. I'm just going to look at Cooper's outlap. It was nearly 10 seconds faster than Schumacher's, so Schumacher definitely had some issues there. And Gresh spins. Terence Gresh for P5 has spun in the hairpin. A lot of drivers struggling. Maybe the brakes are going. The brakes are obviously going to take a bit of a battering around this circuit as well. As Cullen for P8, or P7 that is, right on the back, and he launches on the inside. We join him just in time as he launches down the inside of Andres Pestos. Pestos will have the slipstream down the next straight, and we'll go on board with Pestos because I'm sure he's going to get a better tow. And he is indeed. Look at the speed of Pestos. We're not even the quarter way down the straight yet, and he's decided which way to take him. He's going to be clean past him, and he does. He drives clean past him. Over the crest. Can Cullen respond? Not from that distance back he can't, but Pestos locks his inside slightly and runs very wide, which lets Cullen back through. But he's done the hard work. And you can see in the background there that Columbus on the back of Rick Scott. We'll quickly switch to that as Rick Scott is passed. Will he go around the outside as Pestos tries to retaliate and runs wide? And Rick Scott goes in very deep to try and defend that position, and it works actually. He does actually defend that position. Peter Castar still not deciding to pit, looking very ominous now for the leaders. Terence Gresh holding 5th place from Devarkos. Cullen, as you can see, and that's Columbus trying to go on the outside, and that's not going to work out there. We'll quickly switch back to Cullen battle just in front of this. Cullen, if the game will let me. For some reason it won't, but there we are. There's Cullen. And apparently Peter Casar's pit light is on, and it is. So fortunately for us, we do have a race by the looks of it. We'll follow Peter Casar as he comes round the final sector now. He's got a bit of traffic there as well. In fact, is that his teammate? That is his teammate. Yeah, he's lapped Columbus. And obviously Columbus is pitted and Petter hasn't, so that's a good 30 seconds straight away. He's just lapped his teammate. So Casar does indeed pit, so we do have a race in our hands. So Peter Casar isn't on a different strategy to everyone else. Looks like he's on the same strategy. So Schumacher and Cooper do have a chance now. Cooper mainly because Cooper's now, we'll keep an eye on this. Cooper is coming around the final sector now, and I can't see Casar getting out in front. because Kassar's yet to hit his pit box. He's got a nice clean exit to the pit exit as Kassar. He's very far down the pit lane. Cooper now, as you can see, come around the final corner. Kassar's just leaving his pit box. Kassar will lead into turn 1. Kassar now comes down. You'll see Kassar will go on with Cooper, and you'll just see Kassar in the distance cutting into turn 1. There he is. The problem Kassar's got, he's got to take at least a lap for his tyres to warm up, and this is where Cooper needs to attack. The gap's about what, 4 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds, maybe a bit less than that. About 3 or 4 seconds. Schumacher unfortunately too far back to do anything at this point after that misdemeanor in his pit stops. Rouse has pulled away from Gresh after Gresh's spin. Devarkos P6, Philip Cullen P7, Rick Scott P8 still trying to hold off Columbus. Pestov's dropped back to 10th position now. Yeah, we're in that Pestov spun as well, which would make sense because he's dropped right back. Right, we're going to go on with Cooper because you can see he's eating into the lead of Kassar. Kassar's managed to jump them in the pit stop, but it won't last long. I don't think he'll be able to keep this lead. I think Cooper will be right on back of him by the end of this lap. He's already taken 2 seconds out of him in that first sector alone. Schumacher just back from this. He's, I think he's about 15 seconds behind his battle. Columbus and Rick Scott, and Rick Scott spins and into the wall. Rick Scott has spun in the final sector in 9th position, unfortunately. And that lets Pestos back through. Rick Scott struggling to recover the car. He's got no front wing, so he's going to have to pit, so that takes Rick Scott out of any serious points position. That's unfortunate for Rick. He's a good race. Cooper's nearly right on the back of Kassar now, as you can see. That is Kassar in front of us. And the gap to Schumacher is 13 seconds from Kassar. If these two start battling, Schumacher's still got a chance, because there's still 11 laps left. If they don't, then he's got no chance basically, but the rest of the field's pretty separated now. Jeff Mead's still in 12th position doing a great job with his spacecraft, or whatever it is he's driving today. So Alex Cooper in the slipstream pretty much of Ada Kassar. We do have a showdown for the lead, and these two were pretty evenly matched in the first stint. If one went quicker, the other one responded, so Kassar's got track position, but he still hasn't got optimum tyre temperature. They should be almost there now, but he still needs a couple more laps to get these fully up to temperature. So if you've decided today to join us on simrace.tv, instead of watching the Euro 2012 football or the Le Mans 24-hour practice, then I think you're going to be rewarded with a great battle for the lead here, hopefully. So patience persist. We're still riding on board with Alex Cooper now, and you can see Kassar's tyres are now up to temperature fully because he's not really eating in as much as he was before. Schumacher's still 13 seconds down the road from this. Not really much else going on in the field at the moment. Kassar's leading it from Alex Cooper, as you can see on your screen, who's closed. He has closed up quite a lot in this final sector actually, but I think that's just a reflection on the downforce packages. I don't think it's the tyres anymore. I think it's a downforce package. I think Cooper's running a slightly higher downforce package than Kassar, we know is extremely quick for this first sector. Schumacher third, a good 12 point. He's still closing, 12.8 seconds behind. Adam Rouse fourth, doing a great job for Hawkeye Racing. He's only half a minute off the lead, so a great job from Adam there. Terence Gresh P5 after that spin, he's fallen back slightly. Judges Tabarkos P6, Philip Cullen 7th, Mindergaus Columbus 8th after a slightly disappointing race, but we'll forgive him as it's his first time out. Andres Pestov and Wilke Hoekstra round out the top 10. Rick Scott down to 11th after his misdemeanors a minute ago. We saw Jeff Mead still holding 12th position, just in front of Matt Bipp actually, so there's going to be a battle there between Jeff and Matt. Gavin Thomas down in 14th position, having a not the best race he's ever had. He's only one lap down, so he's not doing too bad actually. He had some misdemeanors early on which cost him. Martin Schumacher lapping significantly faster than the leaders. Martin Schumacher back in the 44.8s. Star's last lap was a 45.3, and Cooper did a 45.2, so it's very close, but Martin Schumacher consistently half a second a lap faster and sometimes more than the leaders. Gap down to 12 seconds bang on now. Keeping an eye down the field for you, make sure there's no more battles going off that we're missing out on. Hopefully Jeff Mead's car will sort itself out, because Matt Clip in P13 is right on the back now. We'll quickly switch to Matt Clip. And Jeff's car has sorted itself out now, so we no longer see a spacecraft on the track, we actually see a car. And Matt Clip now right on the back of Jeff Mead. Can Jeff Mead defend his 12th position? He's held it for a long time now. Jeff runs very wide. He will get the cutback, and there is still hard graphical errors with that car, actually I do apologise, but we've got to give him a bit of TV coverage, but that does look awful. If Matt Clip's seeing the same as us, then I don't know how he's going to get past that car. But Jeff Mead holding that 12th position, he's been holding it for a long time now. Martin Schumacher again, only 2/10 faster than the leaders that time by though. Matt Clip is on the inside, he doesn't take the position though, and we're going to leave that there for now because that is unbearable to watch. Which is a shame. There is a battle now developing for P7 though, while the leaders stay pretty consistently at 0.6 of a second for a gap. Columbus is right on the back of Phil Cullen. We ride with Mindergaus Columbus. He's actually made quite a charge through the field actually in this last part of the race. He was struggling down in 11th from 12th position at times as Phil runs very wide in the first part. That's going to hamper him through this second part, and you'll see Columbus close right up, which is exactly what he does. And you can see you get offline on one of the corners and it really ruins the rest of the section for you. Same with this one, if you run wide into the first part, as Columbus does slightly there actually, receiving the dirty air now from Phil Cullen's car. Gap for the lead has gone up slightly. Alex Cooper now 1.1 seconds behind Petr Kassar. Schumacher's taken another half second out of them, but I just don't think it's enough. As Columbus gets very close to Kassar, sorry, he gets close to Cullen. Matt Clip has now got past Jeff Mead into 12th position. Jeff's still doing a sterling job to hold that 13th position as we watch Mindergaus Columbus literally fly past Phil Cullen down the main straight. Gets it stopped nicely as well, but he's not on the power as early as Cullen is, but Cullen gets a bit of a twitch off the corner. Cullen obviously on older tyres than everyone else, remember, because he did pit very early. Schumacher now down to 11.6 seconds as Kassar lost a lot of time in that final sector that time round, and the gap for the lead is very close again. As we come into the braking zone, Cooper right on the back of him, so this isn't over yet, and Schumacher also down to 11.6 seconds behind them, so he is coming down. I just don't think Schumacher's got enough time, and it's a real shame that he had whatever issue he did have in the pit stop, because he could have been right now. There's been a three-way scrap for the lead here. How great would it have been to commentate on Schumacher possibly winning a race? I'm not quite sure if that's going to happen in real life anytime soon, but we've always got it here in GPVWC. Columbus and Cullen still battling hard, obviously the respective downforce packages applying. Now looking a bit scruffy up front, he's really pushing, isn't he? He's not holding anything back. And this is where Cooper's strong now through these sectors. You can see Cooper just in the background there lurking, waiting to pounce as Kassar runs slightly wide through the first part, which gives Cooper the opportunity to close up. That's the closest Cooper has been since the pit stops prevailed. And he's now less than half a second behind, but he's in that dirty air as Kassar locks his inside left front wheel. Now this is where Kassar's strong, but Cooper's a lot closer this time by, and if he can just stick in the slipstream, there may be a chance. Cooper crosses the line, the gap is just under half a second. And Schumacher has spun, unfortunately. Schumacher's spun and he's lost his front wing. He's going to have to pit, and this is going to cost him a podium because Adam Rouse is going to take third position after this. Thank you to Dave Carr-Smith for pointing that out to us. Carr's opened up the gap in the lead again. Cooper down the main straight. Schumacher pits. Rouse is going to move through into a podium position, and if there's any betting men out there or women, how many odds would you have got on Adam Rouse getting a podium here today? But it looks like it's going to happen. He goes through into that third position. Schumacher's still in the pits, and it will be a lengthy pit stop, I presume. And Gresh is going to move through into fourth position as well. Schumacher still hasn't left the pit box. Just leaves it now, but he's a long way behind. There's no way he will get that podium position back. So Adam Rouse looking strong for a podium if he can just keep going. Gap for the lead has gone up to 1.7 seconds, so Kassar making a run for it. Is this the push for victory? We only have 5 laps left now. It's flown by. What a great race we've had today as well. Really entertaining throughout the field. Been some brilliant battles, some really good overtaking moves. Adam Rouse especially been passing people around the outside, left, right and centre. The laws of overtaking have been changed today by Adam Rouse, that's for sure. So quickly run down the top 10. It's Peter Kassar leading from Alex Cooper by 1.7 seconds. It's slightly less than that as we come through the final sector. We'll go on board with Alex Cooper. Around the final corner, Adam Rouse P3, superb drive, Terence Gresh P4, Martin Schumacher P5. Still got a chance of getting Terence Gresh for P4 possibly. Georgios Tavakos, a superb race for him as well, P6. Not really used to seeing Georgios up there that high up, but he's doing an excellent job today. Mindegas Columbia's also doing a decent job as a standing driver. He's had a few spins, but he's got it together in this final stint. He's got it back up to P7 now. Philip Cullen P8 after a few misdemeanours, unfortunately early on for him. He had a bit of bad luck. Andres Pestov's P9, OK Hoekstra P10, having a solid drive as well after his personal best qualifying in 15th position. He's having a good race in P10. Rick Scott P11 after that spin. Matt Clipp is 12th, Jeff Mead is 13th, Gavin Thomas is 14th, Simon Crane 15th, William Tringas is 16th, Chris Allen's just retired, and that leaves Chris Williamson in 17th, 3 laps down. He's had some issues once again. Yeah, as Dave mentioned, Petter's broken the draft that Cooper was receiving to be able to stay up with him. This is where Cooper's strongest through this middle and final sector compared to Kassar, and you can see the gap's not too much, still under 2 seconds, so it's still not over yet. No real surprises down the field though. All pretty spread up now. It's just this lead battle that's the close one. Quickly see if Jeff Mead's car's... No, it still hasn't, so we'll leave that. Trying to give him a bit of air time because I think he's doing a great job in 13th position as a standing driver, only 1 lap down, and he's lapping in the 150s. May sound quite slow compared to the leaders, but when you've done no practice laps in a practice session, you deserve a bit of a pat back, so well done to Jeff Mead there. And if a couple more drivers retire, he might even point. Oh, we've crossed the line, 4 laps to go now at the GPVWC Supercup Korean Grand Prix. Heading into turn 1, you can see the gaps come down quite a lot in that last lap actually. Alex Cooper took a good 6/10 out of Kassar. Had a pretty slow lap, 45.6, whereas Cooper, I believe was a 44.9, yes he was, 44.9, so a good 7/10 faster there, Cooper. And if he can just get back in the draft again, he's got a real chance of winning this race again. So a moment ago we thought it was over, now the fight's back on. Again, no real battle down the field apart from this one for the lead. But this is what we've been wanting all year, and that was just spun. That was one of the Waterloo race. That was Simon Crane, unfortunately, just spun there. Leader's getting through safe though. Terence Gresh had a very lovely race, Terence Gresh, apart from Rouse battling with him. Terence Gresh holding 4th position. Once again, the top Motorforce driver, and really starting to stamp his authority in that team now. Jason Muscat was the man everyone had their eyes on in round 1. You know, for defending the championship for Motorforce. Not now. It's Terence Gresh who's going to get a solid 4th position today if everything keeps going right for him. And Terence Gresh will move up the championship order today if he does score, I believe, this 4th position. He's currently 8th in the championship. If he gets that, he might move up to P7 in front of David Fiddick. The lead is very close once again. Cooper's taken a lot of time out of him in the last sector. He just can't get close enough. If Cooper could just break this, it's like a 1 second barrier almost. If he could just break it. He's still chasing the gap, 1.1 seconds, so it's slightly more than the last lap. But only 3 laps to go now. So he's running out of time, Alex Cooper. If he's got anything left, he needs to give it now. They're very evenly matched, so that's the thing. If one mistake from Kassar, and Cooper's going to be all over him. But they are extremely evenly matched, so no one can pull away, no one can catch up. Rest of the field is still pretty static, but Columbus is now coming back under pressure from Andres Pestovs. After making the pass and pulling away, Pestovs has now pulled him back in, so reeled him back in even. So Columbus got a, you can see him locking the brake there, he's really trying hard as well, Columbus, to hold on to that 8th position. I'm not sure if Columbus has had a spin or something actually, I believe he has, because he did 154 last time round, so I think Columbus has spun. Because he was in front of Phil Cullen as well, I believe, so Columbus, I've jinxed him there. I said he was having a good comeback drive, and now he's struggling. It's like he's struggling with the brakes or something, he's locking up so often. But Pestovs now can sniff that 8th position again, after losing it early on. Phil Cullen up to 7th position after his early pit stop. Done a good recovery drive, Phil, there actually, got to say, he's kept his head and kept it going. Alex Cooper closing up, not rapidly, but you see there Kassar locking his brakes up quite a lot, and he's taken quite a bit of time out of this final sector, more than I first thought actually. So we're on board with Cooper now as we come through the final sector. You can see that's Kassar, that's the race win just in front of us there with 2 laps to go. Can we do it? Obviously we're not biased in any way. We just want to see a great fight for the lead. It doesn't really matter who wins to us. Obviously yourselves might have your own personal preference as to who would win this race. On the broadcast we have to be very unbiased. Yeah, and this is interesting actually. I've just noticed that, thank you to Dave as well for pointing that out. Just as well, the Toronto Motorsports teammate of Peter Kassar, which is the battle for P8, which is raging at the moment as Pestovs tries to get past Columbus. Now Columbus is just in the background there, you can see Kassar coming through the sequence of corners, so these two have got to be careful now because there's only 2 laps to go. Could be a twist in the tail here because Kassar's definitely going to catch these two. He's only about 2 seconds behind. But for some reason Schumacher's very slow and he's got Devarkos all over the back of him as well. We'll quickly switch to that. Devarkos has a chance of passing a Schumacher. So Schumacher's probably got damage still from that accident he had earlier. And Devarkos suddenly has a chance of, as Schumacher's pit light is still on as well, so maybe Devarkos needs to be careful for this final corner if Schumacher is going to pit. I don't think he will though, but Giorgio's just giving it a bit of a gap there, as Kassar now has caught, and this is key, we will have to follow this, despite the fact that there's a battle going on for 5th position. I'll keep an eye on that, but we do have to follow this because Kassar is about to start his final lap and he has 2 lapped cars in front of him, or yet to be lapped cars. Devarkos does take that 5th position, and Kassar is going to get slightly balked here, but he will get a tow from these two. His teammate could help him here actually, his teammate could help him quite a lot. Devarkos does take that 5th position from Schumacher. Schumacher down to 6th position, but he's got to run on the outside. We're not watching this currently because we're going to see Kassar try and get past these leaders because it's more important to the race. But Schumacher and Devarkos having a great scrap, and Devarkos does take it. And you can see Kassar getting slightly balked there by Pestovs. Doesn't lose too much, but Cooper is not close enough to take advantage of this unfortunately. Cooper's well back. I don't think his teammate will help Cooper, that's for sure, and Columbus does move out the way very sensibly there. That's very nice driving from Columbus there. And Cooper's not close enough to take advantage, so I think the race result is pretty much sewn because Kassar's now got 2 cars between him and his teammate, so I can't see Cooper pulling this one out of the bag. We'll quickly take a look at Devarkos, who's taken that 5th position from Schumacher. Great drive from, and Schumacher could lose another place here actually because Phil Cullen's not far down the road either. But this is the man that we're watching, that everyone's talking about in GPVWC, because many people not expecting him to be in Supercup for very long. Probably win this championship, and I expect him to be in the Super League next year. I believe that is the plan as he rounds the final few corners now. He's got a slight bit of traffic in front of him, but shouldn't really come into play, and that's Jeff Mead. Jeff, a very sensible driver. I expect we'll just pull over, and he does, just lets him through. So Peter Kassar rounds the final corner of the GPVWC Supercup Korean Grand Prix and takes victory. A dominant victory once again from Peter Kassar. He held it back early on, but he came through at the end and just took a dominant win. So you see Jeff Carr still sorting himself out. Alex Cooper takes 2.6 position, 2.6 seconds down in the end. Kassar came from nowhere in that race really, didn't he? He didn't look like the strongest driver early on, it looked like Schumacher. And Schumacher has indeed lost that position. We're going to quickly switch to that because that battle is still raging on. Devarkos has got 5th position. Cullen's just taken Well, he did take it. He's back behind now. You can see Cullen closing on Schumacher. So Schumacher, from being on the podium position, is now down to 6th position with the chance of losing that to. And Columbus, Pestoffs, and Holter have all finished 8th, 9th, and 10th. Columbus managing to hold off Pestoffs. Cullen right on the back of Schumacher. This is the final battle on track now as Rouse comes around the final corner to take an excellent 3rd position. Gresher's going to get 4th, Devarkos 5th. Can Schumacher hold off? Cullen's got the inside line for the next corner, and that's a very brave move there. Oh, that's close. That's very close. They must have touched wheels there, but Schumacher holds it off. He's desperate to hold his 6th position. He doesn't want to lose another position as well. Cullen, he's never going to try and pass up the inside. There he is. He's launching it up the inside. He does. He takes the position. What a brilliant pass from Cullen. But Schumacher must have damage because there's no way his car could be that slow compared to his early pace. I think Schumacher's going to have to settle 7th there. As Cullen, brilliant manoeuvre there to take 6th position. Devarkos now crossing the line as well. Another great drive from Georgios Devarkos. That's probably the first one he's done this season. Takes his 5th position and he's absolutely delighted with it. He crosses the line, weaving side to side. Takes it brilliantly. Cullen takes 6th, Schumacher 7th. So Schumacher provided us with a lot of entertainment during that race, but takes 7th position unfortunately. Not quite where he wanted to be, I'm sure. Matt Clip, the final finisher, in 11th position. Jeff Mead taking 12th position, Gavin Thomas 13th, Simon Crane 14th, William Tringas 15th, Rick Scott 16th, and out actually with that suspension failure he had, and Chris Williamson 17th. The retirements were Chris Allen, Rick Scott, Tommy Koivunen, Boyd Bryson, Mal McKee, Jason Muscat, Bart DeVos, Pavel Noski, Martin Bulgin, Timo Baker and Morten Verneson. So quite a lot of retirements there, but still quite a lot of finishes because we had a big field. An extremely entertaining race. We had some great battles throughout the field, and if you stayed with us instead of watching the football, I'm sure you were rewarded there because that was really entertaining. Some really good racing, some great moves there, and down to award the man of the race, and for me personally it has to be Adam Rouse. I've got to give Adam Rouse the man of the race there because I think he drove brilliantly. The overtake, we pretty much saw every single overtake he made, and he came away with an excellent 3rd position there. He deserves it. So well done to Adam Rouse there for that 3rd position, and only 50 seconds behind the race leader as well, so great job. So Kassar extends his championship lead. That's not what Alex Cooper needed, only 2.6 seconds off the win, but it's not enough. And Georgios Devarkos deserves a shout out as well for that 5th position. Unfortunately we can only give one man of the race, but if I think between Adam Rouse and Georgios Devarkos they deserve it most. Schumacher slightly disappointing 7th finish, but it's great to be commentating on his name and have it in the league. Obviously don't want to just use his name and make him famous for his name, but he drives really quick as well. I think he had some problems in the end there because he was easily fighting for the win early on. Petr Kassar is slightly disappointed as well apparently. He's just mentioned in the chat that he's disappointed with his race even though he's won the race, so obviously not satisfied still that he's got the most out of the car today. Vindegaard's Columbus came on in 8th position for Torrent Motorsports. At least he scored some points and brought it home. The race will be remembered today for the debut of a Schumacher and the huge pile-ups at the start. The first start was crazy. There was cars everywhere, and we've yet to see what caused that, but I'm sure that will be looked at after the race. We're just waiting for Petr Kassar and Alex Cooper as usual for interviews if they want it. Some people complaining that the race shouldn't have been restarted, but I can fully well say it should have been restarted because there was many cars behind that were taken out in that accident that shouldn't have been, and fortunately we got to see a great race afterwards as well. Well done to Jeff Mead as well, being in 12th position, only 2 laps down, just missed out on being only a lap down. So good job from Jeff. And we do have two interviewees now entering the room. We have Alex Cooper who's joined the room and Petr Kasala, race winner. So we will get to hear their thoughts on the race any second. Obviously Petr Kasala, once again, I can't pronounce his name, and once again he wins the race. Alex Cooper taking second today. So Petr Kasala wins the race. Petr, great to have you up here again. Well done on the race. I just read you a little bit disappointed on your race because you didn't hit your target lap times by the sound of it, or something along them lines, and mistakes were made, but you still came out on top with a win. You had two guys challenging you today. You had Alex Cooper and Martin Schumacher, the new arrival at the league. I'm sure you know him anyway from somewhere else, but any thoughts on today's race then?
Yeah, actually just a bit disappointing about my own pace. For some reason I didn't even beat my speed or race pace in qualifying. So yeah, pretty disappointing. But after all I did what I have to do, and pretty much nothing more than that, so that'd be too disappointing.
Is there any reason why you didn't hit your target times as such, or was it just mistakes costing you?
I think it was some mistakes, and the car felt a bit more oversteery than practice for some reason.
Okay, you had some interesting. I don't think you had any on-track battles today. I didn't see you. I can't remember anyway if you actually had any on-track battles today. I think you was involved early on in the train with there was you, Alex, and Schumacher. Obviously, Schumacher standing today. He did a great job. Obviously, won't be here for an interview, but I expect him to have a seat soon or something. Do you think he's a threat for the future races?
Yeah, he for sure have the pace, but of course he have no chance for a championship, but still can fight for victories, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing, he could get involved in this scrap between you and Alex, which today got very tasty actually, only 2.6 seconds separating you two at the finish, which is what we want to see. Obviously you want a nice dominant victory, but we want to see close finishes. That's what we got today. Unfortunately there wasn't much battling between you, but it was a battle of lap times. That was very interesting. I noticed your lap times were up and down as well, obviously, which you could see you were struggling with the car. I did comment that you were locking the brakes quite a lot, things like that, so obviously the car balance changed in the race, as you've already said. So, but well done anyway, Petr, today. A great victory once again. Maybe not as dominant as you'd like, but it's still a victory.
Yeah, thanks.
Alex Cooper we've got as well in second position. Obviously only 2.6 seconds off the win today, as we just said, and he just saw the championship lead increase by a further few points. Alex, do you think you could have taken the win today?
To be honest, not with Petr's top speed. Even if I got in front after the stop, they got me on the straight after turn one, so I pretty much settled for second once I pitted.
Okay, we've seen the lap times jockeying between you. Obviously, we've seen Petr pull away by a couple of seconds with about 6-7 laps to go, and we thought it was over. Then all of a sudden you brought it back again, so we thought it's game on. But you just couldn't claw down that last couple of tenths to get the slipstream and actually get up there with him, because obviously Petr's was sublimely fast through sector 1 with the lower downforce package. You were really quick through the final sector. Also, you had some contention from Schumacher today as well. So, any worries for Schumacher in future?
But yeah, he's definitely quicker than me, so he'll be up there in the future races if he gets a seat.
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, if you're saying he's quicker than yourself, I mean, it was close between all three years today. But if he's quicker than you, like you say, it's going to be a struggle for you to catch Petr if he keeps getting in between you.
Yeah, I think championship's over. Just go for podiums every race, I think, and that'll be the aim for me.
Well, as they always say, one race could change everything. You never know. You're still in with a shout there. You're more consistent than a lot of drivers in the field who should have championship contention points at the moment. But well done on second place anyway, Alex. A great drive, very entertaining for us in the final few laps, keeping us on edge. Not sure if you're going to take the win or not, so thank you for that.
Thanks.
And that's pretty much it. I don't think we've got any more interviews today. So I'd just like to say thank you to Alex and Petr for joining us up here. Thank you to Dave and OJ Clark. That's Dave Carsmith and OJ Clark for spotting for me through the race as well, providing us with some very interesting information and crucial information to the race. Once again, thank you to Simon Mellerish for helping out set up the broadcast. Actually, I shouldn't say helping out, for setting up the broadcast, because he does it every week. So thank you to Simon. that's pretty much it. So you joined us today on simrace.tv, which is kindly once again brought us this superb quality broadcast for this race. And obviously the sponsor of the series, Sim Inc., kindly sponsoring us for this Super League and Super Cup series. The next race on simrace.tv for GPVWC is tomorrow night, which is the Super League race, which at the same track, the Korean International Circuit hosting the Super League Round 8. I believe Dave Carr-Smith will be racing that as well tomorrow night. So hopefully it'll be as entertaining, or at least half as entertaining as tonight's race has been, and possibly some more overtaking for the lead. So thank you once again for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow night. This has been a GPVWC production for simrace.tv. Good night.